Good evening and welcome to another episode of Unstoppable Overcomers. And I'm your host, Dorothy Odell. We are back home, off location, back in Canada and in Indiana, and super excited to bring to the screen Krista Fee. Krista, welcome to the show.
Hello. It is
Hello.
such a pleasure to be here.
Well, this lady is so freaking amazing. The first time I met her, it was just like, okay, gotta have you on the show. Absolutely. Krista, what you do is absolutely amazing. So, first of all, before we go into what you do, share with our audience who you are first, and a little bit about your overcoming story. First of all,
Okay. I am what we're going to call a trauma specialist. I have spent 20 years of my life focusing on the study of how trauma affects our body and our mind and our spirit and our relationships, especially. And I have a we're going to try to do this really quickly. My trauma story, what got me all into this was I was a child of sexual assault. I was a child of the system. I was put up for adoption pretty early. I was adopted at about 3. And all of that happened. And that gives you a foundation of certain behaviors. And then I moved into, as an adult, early adult, moved into emergency medicine, which those of us with trauma tend to want to be helpers. So I went to college for medicine, thought that was going to be my world, and went out on an ambulance ride along. And it was the most amazing thing in my life. And that led me to noticing the police officers that were coming in. And it literally is a trip of one thing leads to another. And I went to school, got a bachelor's in criminal justice and forensics because I started getting really into the criminal justice side of things. And I was volunteering in a human trafficking investigation team. And we had an officer who committed suicide shortly after a bad call. And it was like a light bulb moment for me. It literally just the whole world lit up with, this is what you have to do. And there was this undeniable urge to fix the situation, because all the people we were pulling out of these human trafficking situations and all the people that were having these crises in the emergency room, it didn't matter what the crisis was, we always had resources. They had a place to go. They had support systems. They had ongoing care. And the officers that I was working with didn't dare even say that they had a hard day at work. They didn't dare even say that they were suffering. And nobody expected what happened. It was literally just like the reactions were, oh, well, he was fine yesterday. Mm. And that's the perception, is that they were fine yesterday, but really they weren't fine yesterday. This takes years of progressive, cumulative occupational stress. So the fire was lit in me, and there was just no denying it. And that's how I came to be here.
Right. Wow, what a powerful story. And something that you just said, I guess I never really thought about it till now. Till you said it. It was when you've experienced trauma, you tend to want to help other people. And I was just like, ouch, that's true. I don't know if that's an ouch or like, oh, like light bulb moment or whatever, because I totally get you. Growing up the way that I did, I mean, grew up in an amazing family, but there was always some kind of chaos or trauma happening, whether it was medically or things like that, of that nature. And so, yeah, I get it. And that's why, we spend our life here helping others and making a difference with others. So I totally get what you're saying with that. But never thought of it that way till you just said it, though. So, wow. And you're right. I don't know if I have asked this before, but do you know Jonathan Gahuli?
I don't.
Okay, I'm going to connect you with him after the show, because he also has an organization that works strictly with police officers. So I think you two, like what you bring to the table and could offer him, is like, wow, mind blowing. And I don't know why I didn't think of it till now. But wow,
It's meant to happen.
There we go. There we go. Absolutely. And so with all your training and your master's degree and helping people with trauma, is it just first responders that you're helping, or who is it that you're helping?
I have found that it's easiest to say military and frontline first responders because there's a lot of talk about who is and who isn't a first responder. So I want to make sure that our dispatchers and emergency room personnel and EMTs and firefighters, that everybody feels welcome in my world.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're out there risking your life or risking your mental health in service to others, then you qualify as a first responder in my book.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your organization, because I know you do have a nonprofit and you do have a for-profit. So if you could share a little bit of what those organizations do and how you serve others.
I have a nonprofit organization called Battle2BE, and the primary focus of Battle2BE at this point in time is to honor those who have fallen. So we have a project called the Ferryman Project, and we take plaques all across the country and hand deliver them to families of our fallen heroes, especially those who are not represented. So those who do not die in the line of duty, whatever that may look like. And then we also do public speaking, corporate training. We have a trauma prevention, preparation, and a resiliency program from hire to retire and beyond that we take to organizations to implement. That's real world practical stuff that people will actually do, because a lot of these mental health programs that we try to implement, if people aren't going to do the steps and they're not comfortable with the language, it's not doing anybody any good.
Mm-hmm.
But we're taking it a little bit outside of the mental health conversation and taking it to a practical, real world, better life conversation.
Right.
Very relationship focused. And then my for-profit actually helps to fund the nonprofit. And we have a course academy, and we also have a Nomad, which is brand new, Nomad Custom Creations, where we had a laser donated to us to create just about anything we could think of. So we create things and we sell them. 20% of what we sell goes right back into the nonprofit and to our end users. No one in the nonprofit makes any money.
Right. And so the things that you create, is it the people that are going through your program, like, are they the ones creating these things out of, like, when you're doing your therapy and stuff like that? Are they creating these things in their therapy time and then you're
No.
really selling them?
No, I literally do this in my spare time. I literally create the items that we sell in my spare time. So most of them at this point are coming from me, but that is an interesting idea. And we've actually talked about doing some art therapy where we allowed our people to bring something forward. We're actually talking about at the gala that we're having towards the end of the year on September 9th to have some of our people bring their poetry and tell their stories. And a lot of people who are struggling with the symptoms of post-traumatic stress are very nonverbal about it. So drawing and writing tends to be an access point for that. So that's actually a great tie-in to understanding how they express themselves.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. I love the art piece of that. And two things on that. We had somebody on who helps veterans that it's called Paint 22, and that's like, it's nothing but just painting and being creative. And I didn't realize how, until she was on our show, just how much that helps the veteran, because to have that creative outlook. And first, when I say veteran, please, in this episode, say veteran. It's veteran first responder. If I mess it up, so just for our military and first responder community, I do apologize. I will do my best to say both. But if I don't, when I say veteran, it means all across the board. Anyway, and I love that you said that. And it's funny, over the Christmas holidays, I was going crazy because I was trying my best not to go into my office, but at the same time I was going crazy because I needed something to do. So I actually got a coloring book and started coloring, and it was hilarious. It was therapeutic, but then I have this friend, she was getting them too, and she says the adult ones though make her what's the word I'm going, they make her not nervous but anxious, because there's so many different, like it's smaller, and I totally have to agree with her because I just like, I love being creative and I love that outlet, like you said, giving them the outlet for that. But yeah, it's I guess maybe that's why I prefer writing, but any of those forms are creative and would help your veteran or first responder. I never thought of the poems. That's a good
That's
idea.
funny that you say that. That would suggest you have a little perfectionist in you, huh? That the little tiny areas give you stress. It's okay to color outside the lines.
No, it isn't. It needs to be professional. Well, it's funny. It's totally hilarious. The first one I did, my stepson's like, "Oh, Dorothy, you did a really good job. You should try and sell that." I'm like, "From your lips to God's ears. Let's see that. Let's do that, right?" Um, but
I
yeah,
actually consider, now that we're doing the Nomad custom creations on top of our nonprofit, it has been really therapeutic for me, because if I see more than 4 people in one day, I tend to get really stressed out. I get really down. It's a lot to carry. This is very
yeah,
challenging work to do. So I've always been really good about journaling and breathing and meditating and doing those types of self-care processes. But getting into this creative outlet has really actually taken a lot of that weight. And it's real easy to just go spend 20 minutes working on a design, and it takes your mind off things. And it's really easy to let go of a lot of that. So I think it's excellent self-care for us and for our clients.
absolutely, absolutely. I was just going to ask. So, you know, like you said, especially after listening to somebody's war story or trauma from the things that they see on the beat, like there, you have to have an outlet yourself, right? Because what do you do with all that? Me, I'm a verbal processor, so if I have somebody that will listen to me, I'll speak it out and then I'll be good. But like you said, you know, sometimes, and I guess that's just transferring it from one person to another. Yeah, and you don't want that.
I like all the outlets. I am exercise, writing, um, creativity, communicating with someone else. I always say never trust a coach or a therapist or a counselor, whatever it is. Never trust someone who doesn't have someone that they see themselves. Like
Right.
you should experience it. You should know what it's like to go to a therapist.
Right.
And in that, you should be taking care of yourself, because like you said, we don't want transference. We don't want vicarious trauma. We don't want any of this stuff to be happening. So we have to take care of ourselves to take care of others. It's crucial.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I learned that the hard way. I crashed and burned I got a couple times before I finally learned my lesson. But, you know, that's what I am. I'm stubborn. I don't learn it the first time. I do now.
We're facing a burnout crisis in our hospitals and our teachers, and it's everywhere. And there's no relief in sight. It's not going to get easier. We're not
Yeah.
going to be giving them more time off, more
Yeah.
rest, more relaxation, more self care, maybe a break in the middle of a shift. None of
Right.
that's coming in the near future. So,
Well, maybe we should create it. And I guess this is where different workplaces maybe could implement different, like you said, self care regimens, even throughout the day, even throughout your shift. Um, right. And maybe that's something we could post to them or something. Who knows?
right. That's what I'm always saying. We're tearing down systems and structures. That's literally what we have to do, is one organization to the next. We literally have to change the system around how we look at our jobs and the stress that comes with them.
Yes. Absolutely. I totally 100% agree. And it's funny you said that because I got an email at work today saying that we're very first ever social committee experience. We're going skating in a couple weeks. So I was just like, wow, that's never happened before. So, they're changing the tune and getting more of an environment where we're working together. So that's good. And I think a lot of places need to do that. And I've heard there are some places that definitely have coaches come in too, and have that experience. I think that, like, well, especially within the police force and first responders, definitely, have somebody on staff that can say, hey, if someone's going through a trauma, reliving a trauma, at least go speak with somebody right in that moment, right? I think that would be beneficial for sure.
It is really beneficial. The really sad thing that we're seeing with even organizations that are bringing in a staff therapist is that the stigma is making it so people won't go, because if they go, their bosses find out, and if anyone finds out, then it becomes a question of whether they're okay for duty, and it becomes this whole big thing about, they aren't trusted, maybe we need to take the gun away, maybe we need to put you on desk time. So there's all of this repercussion. So for
Mhm.
someone to just go for maintenance, or to learn some resiliency skills, or to just go and say, hey, I'm not doing so good today, it's too much of a worry that they may lose their position, or that they may not be respected the way that they are if they don't see it. So not only do we have to get the resources in place and the people in place to provide care, we also have to change the way our folks, we have to change the way that we see mental health. And uh, it's not just access that's the problem, it's whether people will do it or not. And that's
Mhm.
a big deal. They have to be comfortable and safe and confidential.
Absolutely. And, this is not the first time that I've heard this. And actually, Jonathan's the one that originally told us, Kimberly and I, that if a police officer says that they have PTSD, it's like they could lose their gun and be put at a desk job. But if a veteran says that they have PTSD, that's fine. They get off on medical leave, and you know then they retire them. So, and that's the difference between the veteran world and the first responder world. Is what we're seeing is, that there is no help or backup, I guess you could say, for the first responders as there is with the veterans. And so we need to find a way to change that. You're right, to changing the stigma, number one, but also changing it within the police force, because I mean, and the fire departments, because we're also working with an organization out in Florida as well that just lost two firemen in the last month due to suicide because of their PTSD. So that has got to stop, and we've got to put something in place for these organizations to say, so that we quit losing our men and women in uniform for sure.
I think part of this comes into the question of, are we talking about mental health here? So that's one of the points that I make often, is that we talk about PTSD as if it is only post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a diagnostic criteria, and DSM-5, and a mental health disorder at the moment. But what we're really talking about is hundreds of thousands of people that are sub-threshold. They're not diagnosed post-traumatic stress disorder. They're not struggling with all of the symptoms. Um, and there's an entire ramp up of 10, 20, 30 years of accumulated stress that creates the symptoms that eventually are called this disorder. So we're not talking about a mental health disorder. We're not talking about this extreme far end. We're talking about a spectrum, and we can address this completely subtherapeutically up into the point that we get to this end here.
Mhm.
So putting into place all of these resources, we don't have to talk about it like it's a mental health disorder. And that makes people really uncomfortable. We can talk about it as this symptom that you're experiencing. What are you experiencing? What is happening in your day-to-day life that you're not liking? What would you like to happen instead? And that's the value of coaching, and bringing in people that aren't necessarily licensed therapists, because there's, of course, a crisis in having qualified people that can meet the need there. We already don't have enough therapists that can see first responders and military personnel effectively. So if we put all these subclinical people into that professional need, we're missing the boat. They can't serve these people in the ramp up stages. So we can address it differently, just as normal daily life problems. How are your relationships? How are your connections with your community? How are your connections with your brothers in the force? How are your connections with your supervisors? Like, how are your connections with your body, mind, and spirit? Are you focusing internally or just externally? There's so many ways that we can help people before it gets there.
Right. Absolutely. I love what you said. And so, who is your ideal client, and how can we help you get them? I guess is the twofold question. Like, do you go to different are you partnered with different organizations, or how does that work?
I just started the nonprofit about a year ago, and we haven't technically really partnered with anybody, but I do have a lot of friends in a lot of organizations, and I get a lot of referrals that way. Uh, to be honest, I think the people that I get are the people that have fallen through the cracks in the system. My clients find me when they're at the last, I'm the Hail Mary at the end of the rope. I get a lot of folks who have been hung up on by a suicide hotline, who have tried to get into the VA hospital and they were turned away. It's people come to me when someone tells them about me, when they have like no other resorts. So I often kind of joke with people, bring me the worst of the worst, bring me the cases that think that there's no hope, bring me the people that don't think that they're ever going to have a better life, because I'm not afraid of a challenge. And I absolutely 100% believe that this is something that we can get on top of and people's lives can be better. So, and the people that I work with do great. And I'm really, really comfortable. I would say I play well with others. So I'm really comfortable working alongside, a counselor and a therapist, and maybe they have a religious person that they go to as well, and different physicians when we're talking about medications. And like, I'm totally okay with working on a team.
Right.
Oftentimes what happens is I have to be the start of building their support team. So and I answer the phone. I don't say no. So if you call me and you're like, I'm having a really hard day, I can hear you. I can listen. I can give you some tools and resources. That's what I'm here for. So my ideal client is really the people that feel like they've been thrown away, the people that feel like they don't really have a place.
Right. I can't believe, and I'm pretty sure I heard you right. Did you say somebody actually hung up on somebody on a suicide hotline?
It's happened to two of the people that have come to me.
That is disgusting.
After one of them had a 3-hour wait, and he was a 24-year-old veteran who just got home, got injured, will never fly again. That was his whole life plan. Was facing a huge struggle with identity because he didn't have a plan B. And he spent 3 hours on hold and they hung up on him.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. I really can't.
I feel really lucky that someone that he reached out to knew about me, because not very many people know about me, and I can only, talk to so many people, but it was just a luck thing that he came to me, and he's
divine appointment.
Yeah. So and that's the best we can hope for, is that. he's still here and he's still working the system. So every day a little bit better.
Right. Wow. Well, I'm very thankful that he found you. People say luck. I say divine appointment because I mean that's really what it's all about. I believe. Um, at the end of the day, wow, that just blows my mind. Because we give these numbers out thinking that they're being helpful. Of course, I've always said right from the beginning that if anybody wanted to contact us, then that would be great to do so. But to hear that, that's very disheartening.
There's just people on the other end. And that's, I think, what we've got to remember is there's just people on the other end. Just like with our dispatchers, sometimes a call gets electronics don't work, the system fails. Or someone just has a really bad day and they're overwhelmed and they can't really handle the situation. So I'm definitely not saying there's anything wrong with the hotline. Please use the hotline. But the hotline's not perfect. Like none of us can expect perfect every time.
Right. That is true. That is true. We're all human, and between human and technology, things can definitely go away, or however you want to say it. So totally agree with you. But yeah, I did not know that. With the nomad piece of that, where can people find your things that you're selling?
We will be listing on the battle2be.org site. They are also listed at the nomadcustomcreations.org site. So we have websites for both. And we just got accepted into a small boutique in the Woodlands in Texas. And they're going to carry some of our patriotic and Western stuff. Wow. So people will be able to go make custom orders.
Wow, that's awesome. You'll need more people.
What?
You'll need more people helping you.
I know. Yes, we just started building a team. My advisory board is just coming into fruition as a functional, actually working system. It takes a little while to get the right people in the right places, but we're scheduling it. We've got a gala scheduled. We've got 4 different major events scheduled this year. And a lot of it, I'm starting to be able to step back and just say, this is my idea. This is what I'd like to see happen. And I have people who can take that and run with it and create something amazing, because we want to be about experiences. We want people to take something away. I always want to give more than people give to us. So as a nonprofit, I struggle with the idea of always asking for money, right? That's a really big deal to me. So I want to, even our gala, we're like, how do we make this like excellent food, great music, an actual really great night out instead of just, rubber chicken? And I've been to a bunch of galas that were really boring, and I love the organization. So I went and I supported them, but I want my people to leave the gala going, oh my God, that was a great night out. It was totally worth the investment that I put into that organization. So, so to be able to create items that we can sell to raise our own money makes me feel in alignment. That's integrity to me, that I'm investing my own blood, sweat, and tears into what I believe instead of asking everyone else to do it for me. I'm putting in my own skin in the game. And I think that's what every nonprofit needs to do. I think we need to go back to the days when nonprofit wasn't just a tax statement, when it meant that you were actually dedicated to your community and that what you were doing was something you were passionate about.
Yeah, 100%. And I totally get it, because we've been on a board for the last year, and we finally have the right people in place, and it took almost a full year to do that. Right. And then you get some people that just want to be there for the name, to say that they've been there. And then there's some people that no, they really work it. So I totally understand that. Totally get that. And, it's funny because when you mentioned gala, because we were just at a gala, and in this gala, it was big name people, and they serve submarine sandwiches and appetizers. So I mean, seriously, anybody can pull this off. Like and it was an amazing, event, amazing turnout. So just, we don't always have to go big to go home, even though
No.
that's always been my saying up till lately. So I get it.
I know half of
Definitely.
our team was like, "Oh, we need to have a black tie event." I'm like, "We're in Texas. You know what you're gonna get? You're gonna get men in jeans and cowboy boots and their jacket. Like you're gonna
Yeah.
get suit jackets, but we don't do formal. And if we do formal, we're gonna have half the people there that we would have if we did something that was upscale but still really fun. Like
Right.
you can't play cornhole in a tuxedo."
I love that. I was actually on somebody's show that's what they do. They talk about cornhole, but for some reason they were opening it up and wanted somebody that was talking about, traumas, resiliency, and things like that. And I was just like, okay, so I'll come on, not a problem. And thanks for reminding me, because she wanted me to come back on again, and I haven't messaged her back. But I love that cornhole at a gala. Sign me up.
Well, play and creativity are one of the pillars of our healing system. Like it's super, super important that as adults we remember to keep play in our lives and
Right.
laughter and joy and enjoyment. Like we need that. It's crucial to our existence. I think we
Yeah.
forget that.
I actually wrote that down. Keep play in your day. I love that. And that's what it was all about last week when we were away, right? Like we worked hard, but we also, got to play hard too. And that's why we're tired this tonight. But not to mention the fact that we stayed up late to watch the Super Bowl. Go Mahomes. Way to kick it out of there. Sorry, I had to put a plug in for my boy, my Kansas City boy. I was the only one that went for him this year in the house. So
Yeah,
it was a bittersweet victory.
I have I didn't even pay attention to the Super Bowl. I get very little television times, and when I do, it's usually I pick a movie of a specific genre for the mood that I'm in. Like sometimes I just need to laugh, or you just want that B movie to just numb your mind and not have to think too much. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I use television in my house. Excuse Canine Buddy here. He is still in puppy mode and he's being a little bit of a pain in the butt. But
That's
he's
okay.
training in a really short time. I think about another 3 weeks.
Kimberly had did a message in the back. Says playing and creativity pillars. Divine appointment. I think so, for sure. Absolutely. And that's what for us this year is all about. If it's not fun, we're not doing it. And everybody wins. That's our two things that we said for this year. That's what we're playing into. Everybody wins, and if it's not fun, we're not doing it. So
You are right in alignment with my way of thinking.
yes. See, that's why we clicked as soon as we um, met each other. So absolutely, absolutely. So tell us more about this gala. What is going to be happening at the gala? You said September 9th?
Yes. We partner with another organization and do a September 11th memorial ride to remember. So we will be participating in that in the early part of the day. And then we're going to have our fundraising event that evening. And we're talking to the Scotty Fraser band right now, which is a veteran band, and they're phenomenal. It's very much 80s rock
Ooh, I love that.
inspired, but it's all military first responder positive music, and it's fantastic. So if you don't know Scotty Fraser Band, they just released, I believe, their second album like a week ago. Super great guys, super great band. We still haven't figured out what we're going to do for food. We will have a photo booth for sure We're going to have a cornhole tournament. We're going to have a classy and sassy car, Jeep, and motorcycle show and competition. So a show and shine. And we might bring in a fire troop and belly dancers. I have some really good friends that may want to be participating in that. They have a conflict of date right now, but they're hoping to work that out. So we might have aerialists hanging from the ceiling, because why not have a circus at the same time?
Right.
And it will be red, white, and blue themed. We're just gonna stick with that because it looks gorgeous in our pictures and it fits all of our people. So
right.
Keeping it really simple, we'll have a silent auction, of course. We're going to do, it's also our coming home from our fall memorial ride. So we'll have all of the folks, we'll do a slideshow with the folks that we just served. And we usually take about 50 plaques out on each one of our events.
Wow.
So we'll be serving about 50 families on that trip. And we'll put all of the memorials for the entire year on the slideshow. But we don't force our people to be like captive audience. We do the slideshow in the background while everything else is going on, so you can pay attention as much as you want to. You don't have to be, have your heart ripped out and stomped on the floor, because it's very hard to be present completely with all of those stories all at the same time. So we don't do that to you. We want it to be present and a part of our celebration and a part of our fun and our play, but also keep just that little element of why we're there and the somberness and the level of responsibility that we carry doing this work that we're doing. So
I love that. You'll have to let us know the location and when the tickets go on sale, and we'll definitely get the word out for you on that, because that sounds like fun.
I hope it will be as fun as it is in my head. It's
September 9th.
Texas, if that helps you at all. We know that much, and we think it will be either in the Woodlands or Spring area.
Cool.
We've got like 4 different locations that we're trying to pin down. And we hope that we'll be able to have between 250 and 300 people.
Wow. Well, that's a good crowd.
Right?
That is a good crowd. So yeah, and not overwhelming, but at the same sense enough that, you could definitely get the word out and have fun and raise some funds with that. So love it.
Our entire yearly budget takes about $100,000, and we are too young to really qualify for grants. So we have to come up with that on our own. And that's not really a lot of money. We don't think so. It's very easy to achieve what we're trying to achieve. And granted, that will go up as the years pass, but this year and next year, that's our expected budget. So totally doable.
Totally doable. Love it. Love it. Love it. Absolutely love it. Well, thank you so much, Krista, for coming on and sharing your heart, your soul, and your passion here. And I love what you're doing. As soon as I heard about your organization, I was just like, yes, we got to make this lady front and center. So we appreciate you. Definitely coming on and sharing your story. Looking forward to seeing more about those nomad pieces, and just really seeing how we can support you with that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to bring on Kimberly and Tazima to the show, and we are going to go to the fundamental section. So welcome to the show, ladies.
There.
There we go.
Hello. Give me 1 second. You started us early.
I did, because we have some exciting, or should we go to some exciting prizes first?
Why don't you go to the exciting share on the prizes?
Okay. So ladies, what we did, so just to give Kimberly some time here, on the weekend, last week, we were in Arizona, and we did a phenomenal job handing out some postcards. Sorry, I'm a little bit tired. Brain is foggy coming into the home stretch. So we have some giveaways, because we had over the course of the Super Bowl week, we were doing like a Super Bowl giveaway with prizes, and we have to give away. We have an ebook by Robert T. Bear, and also Robert was kind and gracious enough to also let us do a 3-night stay in Florida, less the taxes, but yes, a 3-night stay. So what I'm going to do is I have the wheel ready. Let me bring this up so you can all see what I'm doing, so no one says that it was not on board. As soon as I can find out how I can do this. It worked 3 times while I was in the back with Kimberly, and now that I really want it to work, it's not working. Of course, because that's how we roll.
Well, you know, we can dance. That's the beauty of it all, right? So
Yes.
why don't you go ahead and prep that? And I'm fully ready and present. And Krista,
Okay.
thank you for who you are. I knew this show was going to be phenomenal, and always the Holy Spirit. Everything is divine. This is not our show; it's the Holy Spirit show. We simply get to steward it. So we're super, super thrilled to have you join the community, the Unstoppable Overcomers community, and to introduce you and your services to everyone in the community and vice versa. So your timing is divine, as I literally was working with someone this morning, who just committed suicide this morning, right? And that he's tired, right? Like, it's like, you know, and wow, like, it's just so great. Like, it's like you are the perfect add-on to our community, because just to hear your unbridled enthusiasm, yeah, give me the unfixable. It has not been the conversation in the world that we've been in. Most of the people we've been working with are, you know, they're tired. They're actually tired. So it's just really thrilling to hear you not only have systems and structures, proven systems and structures, but that your enthusiasm is contagious, that you're like, no, send them my way. Send those my way. Because it's just a beautiful note in the symphony that we're creating of humanity, restoring all life. So thank you for who you are. We love and adore you. And with that, I couldn't be more lit up like a Christmas tree to introduce you to Tazima, who is, in my world, the pleasure princess. So, you know, just the fact that you were like playing in creativity or your pillars. I mean, you are going to be lit up like a Christmas tree from the inside out by getting to network with this woman here. And not just you, it's very intentional. We're having her on again so quickly on the show because this is Valentine's week. Hello. So Tazima, please share a little bit about you and what you're offering tonight inside this Valentine's week and all that goody yummy stuff. And then we'll jump into the fundamentals.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Tazima Paris. I am a sex coach and pleasure mentor for high achieving people pleasers, women specifically over 35 who are so good and at doing what they do and so in service that they end up at the bottom of their list. Everyone around them is deeply served and they suffer the results of not serving themselves. So I help women to prioritize their own pleasure, identify their own needs, and create space for them to actually benefit from all of that. And what I'm offering in this space and during this month is for people in our beautiful, wonderful, delicious network. For those of you who are interested in starting to prioritize pleasure or identify those pieces, I am offering a 14% off of all of my coaching programs that involve me. So if you're going to be working with me directly, so these are personal, private, or my group programs that people use to transform their lives, that women are using to transform their lives, fantastic. Come on through. And this network I'm offering this network of people 14% off of those programs.
Yes. And Tazima, what would be the best way for them to reach you?
So the best way to reach me is I have a website. It is infiniterelating.com, or you can go on Instagram. It's Tazima Paris, Parris, two R's. You can see my name written right there, or right there. And then yeah, you can on the Instagram connection and on my website, there are links where you can get some time on my schedule, so we can have a conversation about how I can support.
Spectacular. Spectacular. Okay, with that, Dorothy, do you want to go to the contest or go to the fundamentals?
Let's do the contest, so that gives the ladies time to, if we need it at the end. And so here we go. I think I got it ready. Wheel of names, allow. Okay. Woohoo. So the first spin, are we doing the ebook first, or are we doing the 3-night stay?
Why don't you let the guest choose?
All right, guest.
3-night stay.
3-night stay. All right.
Going for it. Okay.
Oops. And wait, how did I do this? Shuffle. All right. How did I? Okay. I don't want to shuffle anymore. Just pick a name, people. New. Oh, wait a minute. Click. Oh, right. Click to spin. Here we go. Woo.
There we go.
I've never done this. Woohoo! Nicole wins the 3-night stay.
Yay!
Congratulations, Nicole.
Woo!
All right. And for the ebook, let's do this again.
What if it's Nicole again? Ah, good news. It's not.
Christy. Christy wins the ebook. So congratulations to Nicole and Christy. And we will get you the information on that. Whoops. I hit the wrong button. Woo! It's
I'm out. I'm in.
She's in. She's out. All right. Now back to you, my friend, to land the plane.
All right. Let's land it. Who would like to share their fundamentals first? Anybody like itching to get those out into the world? Okay, Krista, you get to go first.
So just the top 3 things that we talked about. Yes. Post-traumatic stress or occupational traumatic stress disorder or not disorder is not a single thing. It's a spectrum. We should always look at trauma, trauma impact, trauma reactivity on a spectrum. The second one is that post-traumatic and occupational stress is not just a mental health problem. It is a social problem. It is a cultural problem. It is a relationship problem. And it impacts us on every single level of our being. So it is a neurological problem. It is a chemical problem. It is literally in the cells of our bodies. And it's a behavioral situation. So as we look at that, it's not going to be one thing that solves it. It's going to be addressing each of those multiple layers of your experience, of your person. And the third one is ultimately that we have the answers, and we've always had the answers. We just have to go back to the simple things that we've always practiced. If we go back to Eastern medicines and we look at meditation and mindfulness and being present in the moment here and now and being focused in our own bodies and our own experiences, and we slow down the world that we're in now and we return to taking time to care for ourselves and our communities, we've already got the foundation for resilience. And we have scientific research that says resilience is one of the biggest factors in overcoming post-traumatic stress.
Yum. Just yum. Like, right? Really? I mean, those are beautiful fundamentals. And I so appreciate what you're putting in at such a time as this. It's just really, really beautiful. And there is a conversation. Forgive me, because we have been so entrenched in the NFL world for the last week. that there, unfortunately, I'm not going to give credit where credit's due, that at some point, somewhere along the line this week, that has been the conversation, right? Peak performance lives in the resilience. That's where it lives, right? Peak living, peak harmony, peak peace. It's all in the resilience. So really, that's gorgeous, Krista. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tazima, you want to bring us home?
Yeah, absolutely.
Pleasure, princess.
I like that. It suits her so well.
Mm-hmm. Well, she hasn't even in fairness, that was just what was there for me tonight. She is the I am of I ams. So Tazima, that has been dubbed. I have knighted her the I am of the I am. So Tazima, would you like to share with them what the I am is?
Sure. The I am is Imperial Majesty, because my title, I identify as royalty, and my pronouns are her Imperial Majesty. But
isn't that the greatest, Christy, especially inside of what you are stand for, right? If everyone stood as I am the I am, which is a whole other show, right? And a whole nother conversation. But the reality is we're all pretending like we're not that, right? And the reality is when we tune ourselves into that we are that, we are in balance. The harmony exists on every level, right? So again, you two being on the show together tonight, Dorothy, I'm just so grateful that, the Holy Spirit, we turned this show over to the Holy Spirit last year. I mean, it just makes it just so lovely to get to, host this show. So I thank you and the Holy Spirit for what he produces for all of us. So Tazima, your fundamentals, please.
Yeah, so I've been sitting with this conversation that we've been in around people and what they are needing, and sort of the impact of having really challenging experiences or traumatic or trauma producing experiences. And I, of course, because of who I am and what I bring to the world, pleasure first is always the first one. And the reason I say pleasure first is because when we don't put our pleasure as a priority, it ends up going to the bottom of the list. And then we're just doing, and we're not experiencing anything that we can savor. Every now and then we might be okay in the work that we're doing or the things that we're up to. We may get some professional validation or affirmation, maybe. We might have some experiences that might feel somewhat pleasant, but if it's not customized to what we need, our pleasures are really personal to who we are. And getting nourished in that way can be a hugely nourishing aspect. So Krista was talking about art and how it can just reset, or meditation or whatever. Pleasure has a similar effect. So prioritizing pleasure, put pleasure first, is my first fundamental. And then second is finding a space where you can actually feel vulnerable to share. So again, with services like what Krista provides, or other professionals like myself, what we provide is a space where we can share those vulnerable pieces that are going on for us with a trusted support person. This may be a person that is in your life, and be careful, because not everyone has the capacity to hold space for that. But definitely professionals like myself and Krista can help out with being vulnerable, because one of the key things that I share with my clients and in the conversations that I have, I was on stage just this weekend sharing this idea, but it is we can only get to the land of intimacy if we go through the valley of vulnerability. It's literally not, intimacy is not even available to us without offering ourselves in a vulnerable way. And that brings me to my third fundamental, which is authenticity. So authenticity is something that gets tossed around. Be authentic and be yourself and do all this stuff. You can't even get to that if you don't know what your authentic self is. If you've been spending so much time doing all the things that are required for our lives and our jobs, and like what are the scripts that we've been assigned to our roles in the world, whether those roles be, a parent, a partner, a spouse, a husband, wife, daughter, son, cousin, auntie, like whatever, uncle, like whatever those roles are, there are specific things that some of those pieces of the roles may fit with our personalities and some of them probably don't. And so the best thing that we can do for ourselves is to create conditions or spaces in our lives where we can actually experience our own authenticity. And this can be a little bit tricky, but knowing the things that we love, knowing the things that are our pleasures, knowing those pieces that feel vulnerable for us, and then being able to represent ourselves in the most authentic way, I think really helps with everything that's been being discussed tonight. Is this, when we're hiding those places because it doesn't feel safe, or we're diminishing parts, or kind of highlighting other parts, or like kind of shining and then blocking out and cropping on those qualities that we think are less acceptable for others. That authenticity piece can really serve and support us.
Amen, amen, amen. Preach it, I am. Preach it. Leader of the I ams and the planet. It's funny, inside your sharing, again, watching just how complementary the fundamentals were, right? It's almost like there was one end of the spectrum and then the other end of the spectrum, and the ability for those to come together and create harmony. And the whole time, Krista, what's the name of your dog?
This one is Brandy,
Mm-hmm.
my big one. And then the little one is our canine buddy. You can't see him at the moment. He is being trained as a crisis intervention dog.
Of course he is. Of course he is. The whole time Tazima was sharing, I just kept hearing the call of the dog, right? If you look, right, that's exactly what dogs call us to be. Her three fundamentals. And they are demonstrated competencies of it every single day, right? Like this is how simple life can be, as well as obviously be like the little children, right? Playful awe, wonder, and curiosity moment by moment, which is why God calls us to never give that up, right? So thank you both, as always. The fundamentals does not disappoint. And it's always my pleasure to guide that path. So, Dorothy, what's there for me in the 2.5 minutes we have left is to do a quick promo for our special show tomorrow night.
I was just thinking that too. So tomorrow night,
turn it over to you, girl.
Tomorrow night we have an amazing episode, and Tazima is our co-host tomorrow, with the amazing Drew Durency as well. So we thought, what better way to bring a sex coach therapist and a men's empowerment vulnerability coach together, and with three amazing couples who, it's kind of like a Jeopardy themed that we went with this year. Last year it was the newlywed theme. This year it was Jeopardy. I have to say it is like off the charts, hilarious, and educational at the same time.
Yeah.
So definitely, if you and your honey want to snuggle up in bed and watch at 7:00 tomorrow Eastern Standard Time, we would love to have you. And if you're out celebrating, that's fine. There's always the replay. But if you have nothing for you and your husband to do tomorrow, or spouse, or wife, whatever, then come and join us tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, either wherever you're watching now, our Facebook or LinkedIn or our YouTube channel, because I promise you it's going to be fun. It's going to be like, let's just say that it's off the chart.
For second annual, Dorothy, I'd say we not being cocky, like really in the world of it, like, wow. Like the first year was wow. Like thanks to our guests, right? The first year was just off the charts. Our guests were just off the chart. This year's guests were equally off the charts. And it's just amazing the level of transcendence we can do within a year. So it's just super excited about the added extras, most specifically to Zima and Drew, from last year to this year. So yeah,
yes, we brought the experts to the show, and let's just say that it is hilarious, and you got to be there. You got to watch it with us. So hopefully you can join us. Definitely put your comments in there, and we will answer your comments. But yeah, it's fun. You definitely want to be there. All right. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us this evening. We're going to wrap this up. Any last words for any of you, either Krista or Tazima?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Please reach out. I'll listen.
Absolutely. So with that, guys, be unstoppable all that you do, and join us tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll see you then. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody. Happy Valentine's Week.